You need a tissue?
That's why we left that row. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. This meeting is called to order at 9:05 a.m. May we please have the invocation? Good morning.
May we
Mr.
all
Young.
stand? Lord, we thank you this morning for this county commission, and we ask that you would just be with them today. Always in any office, there is a great deal of responsibility for the constituents, for the good of either the county, the city, the state, or the federal government. So it's a large responsibility, and we just ask for your guidance and direction in each decision that is made. And be with these commissioners, guide and direct them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Young. And now we will proceed to the Pledge of Allegiance, and we are honored today to have here Representative Willie Madrid. Representative, would you please proceed to the podium and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Good morning, Representative.
Good morning. Good morning. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Representative. May I please have a roll call and of the commission members present, a determination of quorum?
Commissioner Murillo, Commissioner Reynolds, Commissioner Sanchez,
Present.
Vice Chair Shaldo Hernandez,
Here.
and Chair Chaparro.
Present. We have a quorum. The County Commission convenes as the Board of County Commissioners and the County Board of Finance in open session. Mr. Macias, are there any changes to the agenda?
Madam Chair, good morning. There are no changes that I have to the agenda, and I just want to note that Commissioner Murillo will be joining us shortly.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. We will proceed now to the pet showcase. Mr. Macias?
For those in the audience and that may be viewing the proceedings, the County Commission takes advantage of at every meeting to advocate for the adoption of animals from the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. So we always have a cat and dog of the week. Let me start with Frank, the cat of the week, who's 1 year old. I'm a quiet boy who purrs like a motor. I'm also a diligent biscuit kneader. Whenever I think I'm about to get some pets. You also might notice that I'm more of a tree-dwelling cat, meaning I like to be up high to hang out and survey the area. My ideal family has a cat tree or two for me to lounge in, and they'd also give me all of the love and pets I could ask for. And this is Frank. Madam Chair, just on a personal note, that's my brother's name, and he certainly does not look like that or act like that in any fashion.
Well, Mr. Macias, I believe this cat is longing to come home with you.
Yes. Certainly to my wife. Okay, this is our dog of the week, and that's Thor. I think Thor's been with us before. He's 6 years old. I was once in a home with a family, but I've been at the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley for almost 7 months. I need to be taught how to be calm on a leash, but I'm eager to please and treat motivated. I'm good with other dogs, and I'm very sweet with people. I have a lot of pent-up energy that my future family will help me work out in a healthy way. But my unconditional love is the best reward. There are adoption opportunities that are occurring at Pioneer Bank, located on University, this coming Saturday from 9 to 12. So again, on behalf of the County Commission, we encourage anyone here in the audience, anyone viewing the proceedings, to give some consideration to adopting either Thor or Frank or any other animal that may capture your heart from the Animal Services Center of the Mesilla Valley. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. We will now move forward with employee recognition. The commission will recognize Doña Ana County employees for their years of service to Doña Ana County. Mr. Macias.
Good morning, everyone. Again, the County Commission takes an opportunity at each of its meetings to recognize certain employees that have reached a certain milestone with the county. So we're here with 4 of our employees to give some special recognition. We're beginning this morning with Deputy Benjamin Perkins. And if I can have Deputy Perkins please come forward. Deputy Perkins is celebrating his 10th anniversary with Doña Ana County. Deputy Perkins joined Doña Ana County as a DASO Court Security and Transport Officer in April of 2013. He graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy in 2014 and joined the Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office as a cadet in July of 2014. He was promoted to deputy in patrol in 2017 and transferred to the Traffic Division in 2020. In his current role, he enforces traffic laws. So really, get a good look at him, okay? So those of you in the audience, if he stops you, oh, I was there when they honored you. That's so fabulous. Really, you might be able to talk your way out of a ticket. Maybe. Okay. Look, great face. In his current role, he enforces traffic laws and participates in crash investigation. He is passionate about his career and has been recognized for DWI enforcement for the past 3 years. He has 2 teenagers who attend Oregon Mountain High School, and he enjoys participating. That means if you get out of your car and start running away, he can chase you down pretty easily. But he enjoys participating in physical fitness activities, as you can tell. Please join me in recognizing, and I can share from my own personal experiences, and I've had the pleasure of giving Deputy Perkins recognitions from other community organizations because of the level of work and commitment that he gives to the county and to the citizens of the county. But please join me and the commission in giving a very special recognition to an outstanding law enforcement officer, Deputy Benjamin Perkins. And you'll indulge us just for a few moments as we take a few pictures with Deputy Perkins and the County Commission.
And Mr. Macias, I'd like to add that I personally also know Deputy Perkins, and I'd like to thank him for always being polite, professional, and very competent. So my thanks and appreciation to you, Deputy.
Three, two, one. Okay, make sure you all say congratulations to him. Remember him. Here to celebrate and give recognition for 15 years of service, Miss Barbie Segovia. So actually, I didn't have a script, so I'm going to ad-lib it. It's better to keep me controlled with a script than letting me ad-lib. So Barbie Segovia is a, well, not law clerk, but paralegal. Thank you. A paralegal in our legal office. And she really is one of the very brightest paralegals that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And I have known Miss Segovia since she was almost a child, but I do remember her being as tall as she is now. I wanted just to give a special recognition because she's given 15 years of her life to working really in very difficult situations, as you can imagine, within a legal office that deals with the levels of controversy and very important legal issues. So I want to make sure that everybody, although I'm not scripting it here, I want to know how very special you are and how very special the dedication that you've made to the county. So on behalf of the county commissioners, this is to Barbie Segovia in appreciation for and recognition of 15 years of dedicated service to Doña Ana County on behalf of the Board of County Commissioners and County Management from May 12th of 2008 through May 12th of 2023, 15 years of commitment to the community. Ladies and gentlemen, please join the commission in recognizing Ms. Barbie Segovia. Three, two, one. Again, there's two more employees that we're going to recognize. Also celebrating 15 years is Miss Rebecca Villagrana. So Becky, as she is affectionately known, became a switchboard operator here at the Government Center in April of 2008 with the Facilities and Parks Department. And we're here to celebrate the milestone anniversary. Becky greets everyone as you walk into the building. You will see Becky right there at the front, the first individual that you normally see. And normally she greets everybody with this wonderful smile and enthusiasm and willingness to laugh at almost anything. Becky greets everyone who calls the county's general number and helps people find the right person, department, or location, whether it's in the government center, the city, or the county. By helping residents and employees consistently and every day with a smile, she has amassed a wealth of institutional knowledge and contacts. She enjoys that she gets to tell people where to go. I better be careful with that one. Where were you telling me where to go the other day? Okay, while not really getting into too much trouble. Most proud of her work ethic, Becky played a pivotal role in the Kitty Condo project by coordinating weekend foster stays in employees' homes and coordinated an ongoing adoption initiative. She enjoyed telling people she was the madam of the cat house. Okay. She is well regarded by residents and colleagues for her welcoming and friendly demeanor. Becky enjoys animals and landscaping, even if it means playing with dirt, hauling rocks, or maintaining her yard. And she also enjoys going for those very long walks. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever want to go to lunch with someone who will just make you laugh the entire period, regardless of what you say, then you need to invite Miss Villagrana to that luncheon. I don't want you to invite her to dinner because by that time I think she might have started relaxing a little bit too much and you don't know what's going to occur. So keep it at a lunch. Ladies and gentlemen, yeah, I know, but I'm just telling the truth. What can I say? Ladies and gentlemen, please join the commission in giving a very special recognition to Miss Becky Villagrana. Our last recognition this morning is Mr. Renee Molina. And he gets a special recognition because he's been here 20 years. Renee joined Doñana County on the 5th of May while he was celebrating the Cinco de Mayo in 2003 in the engineering department as an intern. Later, he became the lead development reviewer reviewing Doñana County and the extraterritorial zone subdivisions, commercial developments, grading plans, drainage plans, geotechnical reports, rights-of-way, subdivision, and driveway permit requests and other land use requests. Most recently, he focused on engineering, design, construction management, and closing out capital projects, including the development of compliance review. He manages design technicians, engineers, inspectors, and signing technicians. County engineer Mo Moabed, his supervisor, said Renee is the most knowledgeable engineer about all of the developments, changes, and construction projects throughout the county. His technical expertise has helped develop the county's new engineers and designers with an unshakable dedication to quality and doing the right thing for residents. He has an excellent relationship with all of our partners, such as the New Mexico Department of Transportation, the City of Las Cruces, Town of Mesilla, Elephant Butte Irrigation District, Bureau of Land Management, and other communities and organizations. Mr. Moabed said about Mr. Molina, his memory is better than any supercomputer. I feel so blessed to be working with him. Ladies and gentlemen, maybe this doesn't get that kind of very public recognition that maybe law enforcement, but Mr. Molina has played an absolutely critical role in the appropriate functioning of our community development department, the engineering department. His knowledge is absolutely unquestioned. He is relied on. He is really one of the pillars of support for the entire county operation. So ladies and gentlemen, please join the County Commission in giving Mr. Renee Molina a wonderful thanks for the 20 years of dedication that he has given to county government. Three, two, one. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. That completes our employee recognition.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. We'll move forward now to public input, and I remind anyone that approaches the podium to speak to the commission to please write your name down on the book, and you will be limited to 3 minutes. May I please have the first person to approach the podium to make comments? Mr. Young? Good morning again.
Good morning. I'm going to let my wife write my name while I speak. I'm here this morning to address the commission not as part of the Las Cruces Gospel Rescue Mission, but as a board member for another group with which I am affiliated, and that is the Doñana County Senior Olympics. I want to give you some information of which you may not be aware. We are the only Senior Olympics group in the entire state that is not funded either by a municipality, the county, or a tribal entity. We are a self-supporting nonprofit. And in the past few years, our funds have been dwindling. We had some savings in which we had invested money, and now it is disappearing. So we probably only have enough money for maybe a partial or 1 full year if we get more funding. So that's why I'm here today. I've already been to City Council, and I want to ask the commission to consider funding Senior Olympics here in Doñana County. We already carry the name of Doñana County Senior Olympics. So if you could consider that, I'll be glad to work with you on what is needed and everything. I can give you a breakdown. I'm going to ask for either a joint between the city and the county of $10,000 each, or if you want to do it by yourself, $20,000 for the year, which is a modest amount, but we can conduct the games on that amount. And that's all I had to say today.
Thank you, Mr. Young, and I think we're very fortunate that we have Representative Madrid back there that can probably help with that as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And he's nodding yes. May I have the next person approach the podium? Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Dempsey. And please introduce yourselves for those that are watching.
Sure, thank you.
via
Madam
WebEx.
Chair, my name is Travis Dempsey. I'm the superintendent at Gadsden ISD. I will. And Mr. Macias is correcting me here, and I apologize, I probably didn't understand the protocol. I think I am addressing a specific item on the agenda and maybe just wanted, so Madam Chair, to ask for your guidance. Is it okay to make a statement now, or would you prefer me to hold that statement until that item comes on the agenda?
Mr. Dempsey, thank you for the question, but if we have an agenda item that's scheduled for later in the day, it's more appropriate to address it at that time under that agenda item.
Will do. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that.
May I have the next person? Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman Chaparro and Commissioners. My name is Terry Miller, and as of next week, I will have lived in Doña Ana County for 51 years. And the past 29 years, I've been outside of Las Cruces. But it was only recently that I decided I needed to have a better understanding of the duties and responsibilities a county commissioner is required to fulfill after he or she wins an election and is sworn in. So I've done some research. And what I've learned is that you 5 county commissioners represent over 220,000 of us who live in Doña Ana County, which at 3,814 square miles is the second largest county in New Mexico. And just in our county alone, there are 5 incorporated cities and 34 unincorporated communities. That's a lot of people and territory. I've also learned all of you are responsible for managing a nearly $300 million budget that supports the county staff and sheriff's department that supports and protects us, as well as the financing for public buildings, roads, utilities, hospitals, and libraries throughout the county. That's a lot of money in infrastructure. And I've learned that you are tasked to develop and adopt county laws for our public health, parks, roads and highways, zoning and land use, and enacting the ordinances you create or that have been created by previous county commissions. That's a lot of responsibility. The thing is, when you made the decision to run for public office, you also made the decision to pretty much give up your personal lives to serve us, the citizens of Doña Ana County. So I'm here before you today to say I am grateful to every one of you, including Commissioner Murillo and Commissioner Reynolds, for all the time and effort and dedication you have put into making Doña Ana County such a great place to live. And if there's anyone else in the audience who agrees with me, would you please stand? Thank you.
That was. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Lynne Moore, a resident of District 5. Thank you for all your unstinting and usually enlightened service on our behalf. It can be a thankless responsibility. That is especially true in recent days. Free speech in our country means that everyone has the right to stand up and make a jackass of himself in public places. This includes during public comment at our county commission meetings. But free speech must be tempered with genuine respect, logical and well-reasoned argument, and humility for it to convince. Rather than truly trying to convince, it appears that some come simply to perform over and over. Even so, I know a kick from a jackass can sometimes wound, even if he doesn't persuade you of his argument. Speech that is condescending, insulting, or spiteful completely misses the mark and instead shows the speaker to be ignoble and small. That's particularly the case when it comes in the form of judgmental, arrogant, and sanctimonious preaching that misquotes Scripture. I do not recognize Christ at all in the kind of behavior that you've been enduring from these speakers. As a preacher's kid who had a mother and father who were both ordained pastors, earning graduate degrees from accredited seminaries, and who benefited from loving, unsanctimonious guidance when it was needed, I recognize in an instant when someone falls far short of that. I respectfully and humbly assert that questioning the morality of our commissioners is out of bounds. So is declaring them to be in sin. To quote scripture accurately, let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone. John 8:7. Commissioners, I'm sorry that instead of following this teaching, you've had so many stones thrown at you from characters like these. It's also lamentable to be berated by people who, if they truly believe their own accusations, misunderstand representative government. It's impossible for a democratically elected representative to vote on each matter in a way with which every one of his, her, or their constituents will agree. One of our strengths as a nation is our highly diverse population with richly varied backgrounds and contrasting points of view. We elected you to make decisions on our behalf because we trust that you will do your homework diligently and use your best judgment with respect to the concerns of your constituents and for Doña Ana County as a whole. Thank you for doing exactly that, tirelessly and with honor.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ms. Chair, members of the commission. My name is Greg White. I'm a fourth-generation Las Crucean, and I am also a retired career public servant. I've worked with boards and on boards since high school. I'd like to tell you, I understand the amount of work that it takes. I heard earlier you gave up your private life. I know that's true. You have a huge responsibility, as we've heard before, twice so far, requests for fundings. I'm going to throw another one in. As you're working on the 2025 budget, please consider the needs of the South Central Regional Transit District. That district began under a huge cloud with a huge amount of work to be done, and it succeeded so well. As we look at the future, we recognize that Doña Ana County is one of the poorest counties in the United States per capita. We recognize that trend may not change. We recognize that in rural poverty, the most egregious form of poverty, in which people are stranded, isolated, and having to live multiple family units in a single home, often with 3 cars, one of which may work, and which is needed to get the wage earner for that family to work. People need transit. Second point that I'll add to that, we know we have an environmental catastrophe approaching us. We have to do things about the environmental contamination of the air. And transit is the future. People say, we'll get electric cars. The rural poor cannot afford electric cars. They're the ones who are going to be hurt most as we move into the calamitous future that we may face. So I ask you again, look at the 2025 budget. Please review the South Central Regional Transit District's successes and fund them fully. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to make some comments to the commission? Seeing and hearing none, we will move forward now to, oh. Sorry about that, sir.
No. My name's Jim Hurst. I'll sign in after I complete my comments. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. These are the words of Thomas Jefferson as found in the Virginia Statute on Religious Freedom. No man shall be compelled to frequent or support any religious worship, place, or ministry whatsoever, nor shall otherwise suffer on account of his religious opinions or beliefs, or in any wise shall their religion diminish, enlarge, or affect their civil capacities. From the New Mexico Constitution, Section 11, every man shall be free to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience, and no person shall ever be molested or denied any civil or political right or privilege on account of his religious opinion or mode of religious worship. Article 2 in our State Bill of Rights, nor shall any preference be given by law to any religious denomination or mode of worship. From the letter of to the Danbury Baptist by Thomas Jefferson, 1802, I contemplate with sovereign reverence that act of the whole American people which declared that their legislature should make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, thus building a wall of separation between church and state. Based on these concepts, I make 3 observations. First, public comments were made at the last meeting suggesting that certain commissioners were somehow unqualified or otherwise diminished because of their sexual orientation. They obviously are either ignorant or indifferent to the American law and tradition of religious liberty. What part of no person shall ever be molested or denied any civil or political right or privilege on account of his religious opinion do they not understand? Second, some have denied that the United States Constitution builds a wall of separation between church and state. The answer to them is Thomas Jefferson certainly thought it did, and any rational person would accept Jefferson's interpretation of the Constitution over that of the religionists of our day who wish to defy the Constitution. Third, I commend this body for making public resources, or for not making public resources available for the day of prayer, though I wish it had not made any declaration at all, because government has no legitimate role in promoting religious practice, including prayer. The promotion of religious practices is a promotion of religion. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing us to speak. My name is Catherine Waukesha. I live in Doña Ana County, town of Mesilla, and I just wanted to echo what the last speaker said and say that I'm in District 1. I fully support my duly elected commissioner and also support the decision to maintain a separation of church and state as required by our Constitution. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
Mark V., District 1, truth and lies. So mathematics, a science, and history show that the Bible is true. 1,000 years ago in this state, the people that lived in the Gila cliff dwellings were forced to abandon it because of climate change. Now, using today's thinking, it obviously was their fault. So what did they do? Too many campfires, too many beans, they were flatulating too much. I mean, it's nonsense. My father, a World War II veteran, a very patriotic guy. In front of you is the Time magazine covers from the 70s. They said, you gotta go buy a new economic car because we're gonna go into this global freeze. You need to buy insulation for your house. You need to change your light bulbs. So then we get down the road, he did all that. We get down the road and now it's global warming. Well, logic, which is used in science, would say, we overdid it. We bought too many small cars. We need to go back to gas guzzler and change out our lights. But what did they say? Nope, they say, we need to buy another new car, which he just said we can't afford, most of the people in New Mexico, and solar panels, and now LED light bulbs. It's the same thing. My definition of green is taking the green out of our wallets and putting it in the bank accounts of billionaires. So the Bible, in the past, has prophesied climate change, and in the future, it prophesies climate change. Climate change is how God tries to get us back on path. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else that would like to approach the podium? Good morning, sir. And again, may I remind you, please state your name because there's people watching on WebEx. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Michael Simmons. I've been before you before. I don't have any prepared remarks for you. I'm kind of watching what's happening today. Last week was interesting. We got to some truth of certain things. Yes, abrasive. Pastors always step on toes. That's pretty much their job description. As far as calling out people for sin, that's also in the job description of pastors. Biblical, we're all sinners, myself included. And that's where actually the Christian religion comes in, because you go for the other religions, the Green New Deal, all these other things, there is no place for redemption and forgiveness of sins. If you make a mistake in the social arena right now, you will be hounded. If you apologize, you will continue to be hounded until you're kicked out of whatever position you are in. Christianity actually gives a place where you can be forgiven in Christ's blood and accepted into the community again. So we've got that on that side. So yeah, there's issues. There's issues in the church as well with apostasy and things that they teach that are not biblical. That's an internal church matter. We'll deal with that. As far as Jefferson and the wall of church and state, that is not actually in any law. And I brought before you before that many of the state constitutions, the federal constitutions, all refer to a sovereign God as the higher power that they refer to. That the laws of men are subservient to a higher power, and thus it's always been. The counties are under the states, is under the national, etc. Separation of church and state is as much protection of the government interfering in church matters as it is in the church, well, actually not in the church interfering in government matters. If you do not allow the church to speak at the level of commissions, at the state, at the national, you've actually removed people's freedom of speech at that level. If you go through our history, there's Black Robe Regiment, there's various groups where they bring forth proper governance, because it is in the Bible, through Moses, through Leviticus, through there, of how to govern a people correctly, morally. And a lot of our laws in this nation are actually based throughout the Bible. If you read through there, you'll see, oh, this is where this law is coming from, this is where this law is coming from. And so to separate them is a mistake. As far as calling out commissioners, again, we're at a First Amendment place. You do have a time limit so that people properly do things. But if they cannot express their thoughts and opinions on matters before you as maybe as disappointing or as unsavory as they are, I believe it's a mistake of a governmental function to do so. And I appreciate your time today, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that would like to come forward and address the commission? Seeing no one else, we will now move on to staff input. Mr. Macias.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very briefly, I just wanted to let the commission know that one of the reasons that this room is so packed with chairs is because it was completely filled, as well as some of the side rooms, with students yesterday that were being signed up into the county's summer enrichment internship program. And I believe that we've already signed in formally 564 students. The focus yesterday was on Las Cruces Public Schools, and I know that this afternoon staff will be down with Gadsden School District to sign up students in that district as well. And I believe that Ms. Michaels has just a brief announcement to make.
Good morning, Jamie Michael, County Health and Human Services Director. Just wanted to let you all know that our department is preparing for our summer youth activities at the community centers. The cornerstone for this is the summer youth lunch programs. So we're partnering with Gadsden School District, and we will be providing lunches for young people at the community centers in Chaparral and Vado. And we are partnering with FYI Plus to provide lunches to young folks in Radium Springs, Doñana, Butterfield, and Oregon. And in addition to the summer lunches, our staff will be there to provide supervision and activities and other social and recreational events with the young people. And Commissioner Sanchez, we're also in the process of contracting with New Mexico Specialized Wildlife Services for the summer, and then hopefully ongoing services with, for young people. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Michaels. Mr. Macias, any other staff input?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. We will now move on to county elected officials' input. Good morning. Dr. Askin, how are you this morning?
Chair Chaparro, Commissioners, good morning. I wanted to give you a little bit of an update on something that we don't always focus on in our office so much. We always kind of joke that elections, because they are so high profile, tend to get most of the attention. But of course, we have a whole other side of our office that helps literally the business community run. And so we hosted almost 30 title companies last week in this very room and had a great discussion about how we can continue to improve the customer service that they offer their customers, and they are our customers, and well, all of them are collectively. So that was a great success. So I wanted to highlight that. We record near 10,000 documents in our office every year. And so the work that we do is exceptional, and I want to give kudos to my staff who, I say this continually, if I, God forbid, disappeared tomorrow, the work would continue. And so I appreciate them. I also want to highlight one of the reasons that I was so compelled and frankly inspired to apply for the initial appointment and then of course run was it's been about 10 years since my office, and I proudly say that, one morning woke up and decided that everyone deserves to be married. And I will never forget that day, specifically because probably 2 or 3 days prior, when I don't think it was a coincidence, a very good friend of mine who I'd worked with for many years had been with her wife for 27 years and her partner. And at the time, that partner had been diagnosed with cancer. And so they're having to make some very hard decisions. And part of that was the frustration that they could not be legally married. Imagine her immense joy, really just overtaking her that morning when she, with her now wife, were able to come and get married in our building. And so I want to highlight that as a proud point for my office and really underscores what I believe in, that everyone deserves access to everything that everyone else does. So I appreciate your proclamation today that will highlight that as well. And I just want to give my support to our community that are often vilified and on the margins and say, we welcome you at Doñana County. Thank you.
Thank you. I also see our Assessor, Ms. Ortega, and the Deputy Assessor, Mr. Reyes. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. Gina Eugenia Montoya Ortega, along with my Chief Deputy Assessor, Mr. Ruben Reyes. Just wanted to ask people again, we are still looking for protest hearing board members. Anyone that is interested, if you would please reach out to the assessor's office. We do currently have one person that has submitted a resume and a letter of interest. So if anyone else is interested, please do reach out to our office. This position does pay $80 a day plus 47 cents a mile, and the services are for 2 weeks. We have 1 week in August and 1 week in September. So once again, if anyone is interested in serving on our protest hearing board, please reach out to the assessor's office.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. As you know, Tyler Software is our major software application used in the assessor's office. It is also one of the biggest expenses in our office. So last week, Ms. Ortega had the database coordinator, Adrian Acosta, and myself meet with Tyler to see what our needs are. We found out some interesting things about our software, our servers. Tyler Eagle, as it's known, is now called Assessor Plus, which is going to give us the opportunity to do our work more efficiently. We're also in the process of upgrading our servers and are working with our IT department at this time. Currently, we have 3 servers, which kind of hinder the amount of data that we have on those servers due to the fact that our county is growing.
So we are in the process of implementing 4 to 5 servers as we speak. IT is on spec with Tyler to make this transition as smooth as we can, but we ask that you please bear with us. As you know, when we transition data and upgrade software, there's always some kind of bumps in the road. But we're hoping that once these transitions take place, it'll give us a place for our taxpayers to retrieve our data more consistently and concisely, and hopefully faster. We will keep you updated as this endeavor continues, and hopefully this will benefit and better the services that we can provide to the taxpayers of Doña Ana County. Thank you.
Thank you. Good news. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm going to kind of waver from this a little bit. I know that this is the county elected officials' input, but Representative Madrid, is there anything that you would like to share with the commission at this time? Good morning, Representative. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the commission. I'm honored to be here on both levels. You're going to get a chance to see some of the earliest developments that we have in our community of Chaparral and from our young students of Chaparral, the MASIC team. And they're an outstanding group that's had a great sponsorship by their teachers and support of sponsors such as New Mexico Tech and MSU. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the interest of our kids that also, it's on the agenda later on, about our security in Chaparral. As indicated earlier by another constituent here, we are a large growing county, and the Chaparral is a growing county. We're now the largest growing community that's unincorporated. And with that comes growing pains, I can tell you sincerely. And one of the areas of growing pains has been in our security of our schools. It's been clear, it's been a struggle since I've been in this role, about the same time as the Sheriff Kim Stewart came in. And shortly thereafter, our people were removed that we had out in Chaparral. Our facility has been shut down, the substation in Doña Ana. I have continued to invest in hopes that the sheriff will come back and put people out there. Her answer to us a few years back was that, you know, my people can be at any school within 15 minutes. And my rebuttal is, it took Parkland 14 minutes to the carnage. And I'm quite frankly going to say I feel like I failed the people that I represent, most of all my young people. Because on the other level, as a state official that I am, to represent the people that I represent, the district on this side of the mountain as well as the other side of the mountain have the same value. And that's what we're talking about, value. Young people, as well as I speak for educators, being a former educator myself, this is an autonomy time that we live, that we're not listening to what the words of our young people are saying, and most of all, our teachers. I struggle with a sufficient number of teachers staying in Chaparral. And it's not because the kids are bad. I can tell you we're selling land hand over foot in Chaparral and have no problem with growing some more, which I think will be one day 60,000 plus. But that being said, until we get to where we need to, the county is a responsibility of this people. And I think it's time, both the school district this year in the budget allocated good amounts. I think it's time we look at the county level as well as the state, and I'm responsible for the state. So as a state, I am saying in front of this commissioner and in front of the people of my board, school board that is here representing the people of Chaparral, as well as a superintendent that's here, and the young people. Because on one end, you're going to hear about the others that are already leaving, but these are the young ones still coming up that we have a responsibility to protect. So I hope we can come to a medium of minds. I hope that the commission and Chairwoman, Vice Chair, as well as members of the commission, really take a hard look and understand the responsibilities that we all entail. You'll have my commitment as a state representative that we're not just trying to avoid this, but we need a bigger blanket, a solution that fits the entire state. But meantime, in areas such as Chaparral, unincorporated, When no municipalities are supportive of local sheriffs of a city, it comes to the responsibility and the accountability of Doniana to help us out. So again, I ask you to please sympathize and listen to the parties that are here to talk about this later, and understand that I'm asking for help. I'm asking for the commissioners. I'm asking the people that are all here to be heard and valued, for we all carry a great deal on our shoulders, most of all myself, because I see the viability and the vitality of a future that we owe everything to. So thank you, members of the board, Commissioner, Madam Chair, Vice Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Madrid. Now, I also see Presiding Judge Conrad Perea. Are you here as a county elected official, or will you be addressing the commission later in the day, Judge?
I'm here to support our treatment courts and a request from the county. I'll wait until later.
Thank you, thank you. All right, then we will move on to agenda item number 1, the minutes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I skipped commission input. Thank you. Go ahead, Commissioner Sanchez. We move on to commission input.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Two just quick items. I did want to thank, last week we had a public meeting in Salem to discuss the communications tower that we'll be installing in the community. I know there was a lot of effort by our our constituent services team to reach out and notify. And so, the turnout was not what we expected, but we were still there. We were ready to talk with community members, and we still are. But I really want to thank all of the county staff that put in the time to show up to the meeting, prepare for the meeting, and work to really try to notify, as that's been a big thing that we're working on here at Doña Ana County, is making sure we're notifying people in our community of various events. So thank you to all the county staff that helped with that. Along those lines, I did want to invite the public next Thursday, June 1st at 10 a.m. We're going to be, it's probably hard to see from way up there, but we're going to be doing a grand reopening for our community center in Radium Springs. There's been a ton of work done on the inside. For those that were able to come out to my community meeting in April, you kind of got a sneak peek of all the work that has been done in that facility. But we will be having a grand reopening and then a mural project that we'll be unveiling at that time. So again, that's next Thursday, June 1st at 10 a.m. Radium Springs. The address is 1260 or 12,060 Lindbeck Road, right by behind the Family Dollar and next to the Ben Archer Clinic. So would like to invite the public to that event. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Any other comments by any commissioner?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner, pardon me, Vice Chair Shelter Hernandez.
I just have one. I just want to say thank you to everyone that came out today in support of the supportive commissioners. I know that we really do appreciate it. And I personally appreciate it. And I say thank you from the bottom of my heart. A lot of your words really do resonate, and I appreciate it. So thank you for coming out and speaking to us today.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Murillo? I'd also like to thank those persons that approach the podium and give us your support. It is a hard job that we all do. And I said this at the last commission meeting. I proudly serve with these 5 commissioners, 4 that are in front of you right now. One of us is not here today. We are able to work through disagreements and problems, and we work together as a unit. So thank you for your kind words. It has touched our hearts, and I don't know if you understand how much it has touched our hearts. But to move on, there was also a meeting up at the Oregon Community Center. I joined Representative Willie Madrid and Representative Tara Jaramillo. I'd like to thank Mr. Macias for sending code enforcement and animal control up there, the representatives. We didn't have as many people as we would have liked to have had, but we plan to have a couple of more meetings in that district in the next couple of months. Another thing I'd like to also share, I was selected for the National Association of Latin American Officials attended an economic development conference in New York in April. I've been invited to return in July. I'm very excited because it's showing that Doña Ana County is on just the edge of making a big difference in this state. So I thank Naleo and the sponsors, Melinda and Bill Gates, for that opportunity. So Commissioners, anything else? Thank you. Now we'll move on to the minutes.
Madam Chair, I'll move approval of the regular minutes from May 9th, 2023.
Thank you. I have a motion from Commissioner Sanchez to approve the regular board meetings minutes for May 9th, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Vice Chair Shaljo. Any discussion, any changes, Commissioners? May I have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes, the motion carries unanimously. We will now move forward on to proclamations and recognitions. Agenda item number 2, to recognize the Chaparral Middle School robotics team for their success in this year's MESA USA Engineering Design Competition. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Murillo. I have a second by Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez. Commissioner Sanchez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I'm excited, not just this proclamation, but the next one, we get to celebrate the youth here in Doña Ana County. So with this proclamation, we get to celebrate the Chaparral Middle School robotics team. And I will have to give a shout out to our Commissioner Reynolds, who's not here today. And so he asked me to sit in here and take his place to recognize the team. One of the things that's been most impressive by these youths is that this year will be the 6th year that they will be attending the national competition representing their community and the state of New Mexico as well. So I think that alone is an accomplishment, and I know they're still gonna go. This national competition. We're trying to get a soundtrack going here. So the national competition is going to be held here in June in Albuquerque. And so we wanted to wish this team luck on the next steps and really recognize the work that they have put in so far. The theme for this year's competition is called Designing for Equity. And one of the most amazing things is that it's not just design work. I mean, this is true engineering work where they're designing, they're programming, they've come up with a problem that they're trying to fix and work on, and they have to even get up and present and talk about the ideas behind it. So, when you look at an engineer and the things that they do and being able to understand and communicate and design and, touch all these different worlds, these guys have done an amazing job. And again, like I said, I just can't say enough where 6th year in a row that they're going to the national competition. So I'd like to invite their robotics advisor, Rina Viramontes, if you'll stand.
And if
Thank you for coming up. I also like to invite the rest of the team to also come up to the podium as well. Ms. Viramontes, I'd like to invite you to say a few words, and even to the students, if you'd like to tell us about the project and all the experiences you've had so far.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Doña Ana Community or County Commissioners. My name is Rina Viramontes. I'm the MESA advisor at Chaparral Middle School. I am proud to be here today to introduce to you these 8 students that competed in the MESA USA competition this year. MESA USA is Math, Engineering, Science Achievement. It's a national program, but we've been doing MESA for 12 years. Well, I've been doing MESA for 12 years, and we've been winning state for 6 years in a row. And this hopefully will be our 5th year in winning nationals. So we've taken nationals for the past 4 years in a row. And this is the 2 teams that competed from our school. Unfortunately, they also had to compete against each other. But this year, they actually placed within half a point of each other. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard because I mentor both of the teams, and they were both incredible, and they both have amazing projects and products that they've chosen to focus on. So I'm here to introduce them. You wanna? But before I introduce them, I would also like to thank our teachers, our administrators, our parents, our district, our community, and our representative, Willie Madrid, for his support and believe in our program. Most importantly, I want to thank the students as well for their hard work and dedication the past months, like 5 months that they've been working on this. And now here are the students to introduce them.
Good morning, Donna, Anna County Commissioners. My name is Sophia Chumley, and we are Chaparral Robotics. For the MESA USA competition, we had to choose an inequity in our community, and we have to create a device that will help solve that same inequity. We had heard of recent car accidents in our area, which caused 2 teenagers to unfortunately pass away. This led us to want to design something that will help monitor speeding and make stop signs more visible. Our community has limited street lights and also, as well as limited police presence, so our team came up with the MSS Monitor, a device for stop signs that can help detect speed and detect distance as a car approaches, and if someone is going over the speed limit, it sends a notification to our Donna Ana Police Department. With this information, they can collect data and use their resources productively. Our stop sign device will also light up at night when a car approaches the stop sign. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm Caleb Sanchez. This is my team. We developed the Animacare Monitor, an innovative device that can detect things within its radius. It is used for coyotes and dogs that are trying to get into or leave your yard. What is it?
Good morning. My name is Rogelio Betancourt. This is our device, Animacare Monitor, and here's a demonstration of how our client would use the Animacare Monitor. Our client would place the device in the corner of his bunny's cage. The 2 ultrasonic sensors will work together to detect movement along the length and width of the cage. Every dog or coyote is detected, the buzzer will start buzzing and a notification will be sent to your phone. To show you how this works, I'll pass my hand in front of the device to trigger the sensors. As you can hear, the buzzer is now buzzing, alerting Josue or our client of any potential danger. At the same time, a notification is sent to our client's phone. This allows our client to take action and ensure the safety of his pet.
I do believe that these kids hacked into my phone, and that's where the music was coming from. That's how smart you all are.
Yeah, and this is Team 1, Rogelio Betancourt, Caleb Sanchez, Walter Mora, and Naomi Mora. And Team 2 was Abraham Gurola, Sophia Chumley, Adeline Gamboa, and Eliana Sanchez. And Team 2 will be representing us in our national competition.
Jóvenes, qué orgullo y qué placer para su comunidad que han llegado a este punto. What a pleasure it is that you have gotten to this. We are so proud of you. Felicidades, órale y adelante.
And Madam Chair, with your permission, I'd like to ask County Manager Macias to read the proclamation.
Madam Chairwoman, with your permission. Whereas with teamwork and exceptional dedication, the Chaparral Middle School robotics team has, for the 6th year in a row, placed first and second place at the New Mexico Mathematics, Engineering, and Science Achievement, or MESA, competition. And whereas 2 teams set out to meet the engineering design challenge to solve an inequity in our community by using coding, they made prototypes and presented the devices to a panel of judges, making a marketing pitch and participating in a technical interview. They also wrote a project brief and made an academic poster. And whereas this team has shown the skills and talents in robotics, their victory is a testament not only to their commitment and perseverance, but to their school and community. We show gratitude to the faculty and staff, including the leadership of Rina Viramontes, their MESA robotics advisor, for nurturing the gifts of these students and for providing guidance and support in their educational journey. And the Chaparral Middle School robotics team that won 2nd place overall and placed first in poster, 2nd in design brief, 1st in pitch, and 3rd in interview in New Mexico is comprised of Rogelio Betancourt, Naomi Mora, Walter Mora, Caleb Sanchez. The Chaparral Middle School robotics team that won 1st place overall and placed 1st in brief, 2nd in poster, 2nd in pitch, and 2nd in interview in New Mexico, and will compete nationally in Albuquerque on June the 26th through the 29th, is comprised of Eliana Sanchez, Sophia Chumley, Abraham Gorola, Adeline Gamboa. Now, therefore, the Doña Ana County Board of County Commissioners does hereby recognize the 2023 Chaparral Middle School robotics team for its historic accomplishment and national competition advancement. Madam Chair, a proclamation for the consideration of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Macias.
I was gonna add, and I appreciate like just such you see the mixture of boys and girls participating in STEM related here with MESA. So thank you all for what you've done representing the community. Congratulations, and we wish you the best of luck on your next step.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Murillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez?
Yes.
And Chair Chaparro?
Absolutely, yes. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Representative Madrid, they're from your district.
Good.
Best smiles, guys, best smiles. All right, very good.
What a great future Doñana County has. We will now move on to agenda item number 3 to recognize the Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy Lego Robotics team for its historic accomplishments and international competition advancement. May I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sanchez and a second by Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez. Commissioner Sanchez?
Thank you. And so this time we get to recognize the Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy Lego Robotics team. This group of individuals just recently got to participate in the world competition that was held in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And they came in 4th place in the Alliance competition in collaboration with another team from Pennsylvania, where they ran a series of robot challenges made out of Legos. Then they did this together as a team. One of the things I think you note in there was that it was a team from Pennsylvania. And so we have these kids that are representing our communities in Doñana County and the state of New Mexico on a stage where we're seeing kids nationwide, but not only nationwide. I went and looked through and I went through the list of the teams that they were competing with and against. So there were teams not only from all across the US, but you had teams from Spain, Israel, Australia, Canada, Japan, South Korea. And so what an amazing display and an accomplishment that these kids were on this international level, representing their community, and still came out 4th in this particular competition, in the Alliance competition. One of the things that I geek out about being an engineer is seeing that there's so many phases, even with the robotics competition, because it's the design of the robot, it's the programming of the robot, the working with another team that you've never met before, and all of a sudden in a few days, you've got to figure out how you're going to strategize, work together, and work together in this competition. So it's so amazing what these kids are doing. I did want to ask their coach, John Gately, if you will stand and rise. Thank you for all that you do in working and sponsoring these kids, and appreciate all the work you put in with them. So thank you. And don't sit down yet. I want to, we'll have you all come up. But I did the rest of the team. Will you all stand up, please? I'd like to invite you all, come on up to the podium. And while y'all are coming up, with your permission, Madam Chair, I'd like to ask Mr. Macias if he will read the proclamation.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Mr. Macias.
Thank you, Madam Chair, with your permission. Whereas the Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy Lego Robotics team represented their school in the city of Las Cruces at the New Mexico State competition in Albuquerque, where they qualified for the international Lego robotics competition in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And whereas this placement marks the first time in history that a team from the city of Las Cruces has qualified for this prestigious award or event. And whereas the Lego robotics competition requires the participants to design, build, and program autonomous robots using Lego bricks, our home team's impressive design featured a hydrogen car with a real-world simulation and an eco-friendly solution to power vehicles that impressed the judges. And whereas this landmark accomplishment brings immense pride to us all and sets a standard for future generations of robotics students and students in general to pursue excellence in their work and in the areas of science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And again, the team led by John Gately as coach, Josh Rodriguez, Paxton Gambordella, Ethan, and forgive me, correct me if I'm mispronouncing anyone's name, Ethan Robillard, Calvin Chastain, Wesley Ray, Nalani Lujan, Abigail Brown, Nika Pivkina, Alfonso Serna, and Gabe Clute. Now, therefore, the Doñana County Board of County Commissioners does hereby recognize the Mesilla Valley Leadership Academy LEGO robotics team and its historic placement of advancing the city's first international LEGO competition. Madam Chair, a proclamation for the consideration of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. Commissioner?
And Mr. Gately, I'd like you or your team, if you'd like to say a few words or even talk about what you experienced during the competition or whatever you'd like to share with us.
Yeah, as a collective, these kids all represent, obviously being very intelligent, being creative, being resilient. All the parents that are here, proper upbringing, good parents, and a lot of fun. So you can see the group here. A lot of them like to talk. I'll hand it over to them. But just very creative, very good at programming, very good at presenting. At our school, we do a lot of, we require the students to present quite a bit, and we open the curriculum for them to find, what their interests are. And I think they're able to do that at our school, and that shows here with this club here. So we only have one 8th grader. We assume we'll be back next year. And I'll hand it over. I don't know if anyone wants to talk. Calvin?
Thank you, Commissioners. It was a huge honor to represent this phenomenal county in this very prestigious competition. There were a lot of good competition here. We saw different cultures come together, and it was truly a phenomenal experience, and I'm glad to say I was a part of Doñana County. Continue into that. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you.
Hello, county members. I am Ethan Robillard, and I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry.
Just give them a briefing of the project and the technology.
So, so every year there's a theme, and you have to make it what's called an innovation project off of it. This year's theme was called Superpowered, and so we had to find some sort of energy problem and make a solution for it. Our solution for the problem of energy, of like clean energy for transportation, was hydrogen cars, because, well, not many people know that these exist, probably because one of the only places in the world they're sold is California. And so it's hard to get them, but they're much less expensive than an electric vehicle, about the same as a little pricier than a gasoline car normally. But they're much more efficient and just as clean energy as an electric vehicle, because the only emission of these cars is water.
Wonderful, smart, intelligent future engineers that are going to make a difference in our world. May I have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez.
Yes.
And Chair Chaparro.
Yes, proudly. Thank you so much. We are so proud of you, and we look forward to seeing your hydrogen vehicle on the road.
Yes, of course.
I think we're in safe hands with those two groups of children. I think our county is going to do very, very well. We will now move on to agenda item number 4, proclaim the month of May as National Treatment Court Month in Doña Ana County. May I please have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Murillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a second from Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez. And Ms. Urales, where are you, if you'd like to step forward? Judge Perea, were you going to join as well? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is National Treatment Court Month. And specifically, we're going to highlight Veterans Court. Most veterans return home strengthened by their military service, but unfortunately facing many battles brought on by their combat service. These challenges also include substance abuse, mental disorders, and trauma. The 3rd Judicial District Court began operating its Veterans Treatment Court in Doña Ana County in 2015, serving as a beacon of hope for so many of our residents who have fought for the freedoms of our country. While today we are here to celebrate the 50th year anniversary of Veterans Treatment Courts, 5th year, this recognition is timely as we are approaching Memorial Day, where we honor our fallen soldiers who paid the ultimate price for these freedoms. I am honored to witness the work of those who participate in the Veterans Treatment Court, and they do so every day to help our veterans recover from their challenges to become highly functioning members of our community. I am also very honored that I stand here with these two people in front of me, and I, along with presiding judge Conrad Perea, have worked not only drug court, domestic violence court. I interpreted once for the Veterans Court, but these courts go back many years in this judicial district, and Rachel has worked tirelessly for years. I am proud to work with you. I am very proud of the work that you're doing. And Judge, I know with you as presiding judge that this treatment court, the Veterans Court, but the other treatment courts are going to flourish. So my appreciation and gratefulness to you. Today we have Rachel Urales, who is a Veterans Treatment Court Coordinator, along with presiding judge Conrad Perea, to speak more about the work of treatment court. Who'd like to go first?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you, everyone who's here. I'm honored to receive this proclamation. Veterans Court is very dear to me because my son is a veteran. And not knowing the struggles he was going through when he came home, now that I'm in this court, I'm putting my hands and getting my hands dirty, like he stated. I now know that there's a lot more that we need to do for our veterans. And so I'm working with a great team, with a great chief judge, and we are working to help our veteran community, get them with their mental health, with housing, with making sure that they have substance abuse, and we are basically wrapping a wraparound team with our participants, and we're so proud of the work we're doing, helping them, and it's a daily thing, and I'm just happy to be part of this program.
Thank you, Ms. Yurdales. Judge.
Yes. Madam Chair, Commissioners, I thank you. It's an honor to come before you and to accept this proclamation. Your words were heartfelt, and they touched my heart also, because we do go back to the inception of a lot of our drug courts. One of the big celebrations today is at 4 p.m., where our Veterans Drug Court attendees and those that have completed the program will be graduating today at the 3rd Judicial District Court. They will be celebrated for their accomplishments. And I thank Rachel, Ms. Urdiales, for all the work she has done in preparing for this afternoon and having that celebration that is so well deserved. We will do that today on your behalf. We will celebrate also, just to say they have done it, they have excelled, and they have proven to everyone how worthy they truly are, as they have served our country with that same compassion and care. I thank you so very much.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Macias, would you please read the proclamation?
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Whereas veterans deeply value their military experience and share an unbreakable bond with their peers, the local Veterans Treatment Court, also known as Drug Court, was implemented on May the 23rd of 2018, building upon that connection by providing a program for people with common experiences to receive help for challenges that often lead to long-term incarceration. And whereas according to the 2021 U.S. Census, there are 16.5 million veterans in the United States, 11.9 million of these with disabilities, 2.1 million with mental health-related issues, and 40,401 homeless veterans. Veterans treatment courts were created in response to the growing number of veterans appearing in the judicial system due to drug or alcohol addictions and suffering from mental illness. And whereas treatment courts offer participants an opportunity to address their mental health needs and substance use disorders by helping them achieve recovery, reduce recidivism, and strengthen their family units, all of which lead to a decrease in the impact of high incarceration costs to the taxpayers. And whereas a treatment court or treatment courts are recognized as the most successful justice system intervention in our nation's history, saving $6,000 per individual they serve, a lower expense than any other criminal justice strategy, the local treatment court proudly boasts a recidivism rate of 8.3% with the cost of participation of $57.13, which is significantly lower than the local daily cost of incarceration, which is $101.34. And whereas today the 3rd Judicial District Court will celebrate its 5th anniversary of providing mental health care, substance abuse treatment, case management, and veteran administration services for the veterans here in Doña Ana County. Now, therefore, the Doña Ana County Board of Commissioners does hereby proclaim the month of May as National Treatment Court Month. Madam Chairwoman, a proclamation for the consideration of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. Any other comments from the commission? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you. We're moving forward with agenda item number 5 to proclaim the month of June as Pride Month in Doñana County. Vice Chair Sheljo Hernandez. And may I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Sanchez and a second by Vice Chair Sheljo Hernandez. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you. We are hitting Pride Month off early since we're recognizing this on May 23rd, but we wanted to make sure to have the full month here. So today we recognize June as Pride Month in Doñana County. The reason that we celebrate June as the month of Pride is to honor the 1969 Stonewall Uprising in Manhattan. Gave me chills, and works to achieve equal justice and equal opportunity for all of our LGBTQ plus family members and community. Joining us in these chambers today, we have some very vibrant community organizations and members, ranging from Southern New Mexico Pride Board, Alianza, P-Flag, Peace Lutheran, UU Church, FYI Plus, and FYI La Vida Project, and many, many more. These individuals and organizations make our home of Doñana County a much better and accepting place to live. And for the size of our county and our community, it is amazing that we have so many resources to our LGBTQ plus community, including our youth. After the legalization of gay marriage, especially with our former Doñana County Commissioner and Clerk Lynne Ellen signing the first same-sex marriage certificate in our state, we still have a lot of work to do in our community. Fighting for the rights of our trans and queer family and community here is one of the most important things that we can do. And also extending that olive branch to show that New Mexico and Doñana County is a safe and accepting place to live and work. Especially with the recent actions going on in our communities and in our nation. And to all those people in the audience, especially our youth that were here today, I hope that they know that this place that we all live and reside in accepts and loves you. And just look at the people in the room. Many here are your future mentors, allies, community members, family members, and we all accept and love. So I'm proud to present this proclamation, and I'm proud to say June is Pride Month here in Doñana County. So I'll go ahead and ask that anyone that is here to accept this proclamation from any way, shape, or form, if you'll come up to the podium and say hi. And while you're all coming up, County Manager Macias, if you'll go ahead and read the proclamation for us.
Thank you. With your permission, Madam Chairwoman. Whereas with this proclamation, the Board of County Commissioners recognizes members of our community who identify as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, intersex, non-binary, and asexual, or LGBTQI+. And whereas the origins of Pride Month can be traced back to the historic Stonewall riots, which took place in New York City in June of 1969, when members of the LGBTQI+ community stood up against injustice and discrimination. The Stonewall riots were a pivotal moment that sparked a wave of activism and advocacy that has led to significant progress in the fight for equality. And whereas the Commission and the community further recognize the advocacy efforts of local organizations such as Southern New Mexico Pride, Alianza, Unitarian Universalist Church, and the Las Cruces chapter of Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays, or PFLAG, PFLAG. Whereas while we acknowledge the evolving definition of sexuality and gender, we must also recognize the continuing need for education and awareness, which are vital in eradicating prejudice and discrimination. And whereas we must continue to address bullying and harassment in varying levels of society, ensuring every individual has a nurturing environment in which to learn and grow, regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity, and that when these citizens reach adulthood, they have equal access to safe and supportive housing and employment throughout life, free from fear and violence and protected against discrimination. Whereas Doña Ana County is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equality for LGBTQI+ people in our community, we encourage the residents to embrace acceptance and work to eliminate hate and lack of understanding that leads to marginalization everywhere it exists. And now, therefore, the Doña Ana County Board of Commissioners does hereby support the month of June as Pride Month. Madam Chairwoman, a proclamation for your consideration.
If anyone wants to come up and say a couple words, I know there's a lot of you and there's a lot of organizations, but if you want to come up, please do.
Commissioners, my name is Robert Williams. I'm chair for Southern New Mexico Pride, and I'm very pleased for this proclamation. You guys are very supportive, and they've been, for years now, as well as the city of Las Cruces. It's a little Pride Month is June. However, here in Southern New Mexico, we celebrate Pride in October because June is a little too hot. So our actual Pride celebration will be in October, but all of the people you see here are people that help with the organization and the planning of that event, which will happen on October 7th this year. So it's like, so I want to thank all of them and thank all of you for this. We live every month as Pride Month for us, but it's nice. When I first came out, I waited for June to come out or to find the community because I knew that things would be happening in June because it's a traditional Pride Month. And here in Doña Ana County, we try to do the same thing. We try to do events in PFLAG, and everyone here, FYI, all of the organizations here are out there and aware and help people when they need it. So thank you very much.
Good morning. Is this good? Sorry, I'm short. Good morning. My name is Cristina, and I work with La Vida Project FYI Plus. And I am honored to be a fierce ally and lead an amazing program, which is a resource hub for a lot of the young people within the community. Recently, we had our second annual Pride Prom, which was amazing. We served over 200 participants to include our volunteers and staff. And not only do we pull in young people that are performers, young people that are, our DJs, maybe not all of them are part of the community, however, just strong supporters of the community. I'm honored to work with everybody here, and especially my coworkers who, yes, I am a supervisor of this program, but a lot of times I come alongside them and they tell me what I need to do. And I'm just excited about this. And like you were saying, we celebrate Pride every month, and we talk about this at our Safe Zone trainings, which talk about inclusivity, talk about what we need to do as agencies and community partners. And we talk about being an ally all year because that is what it looks like for us. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Hello, Commissioners. I just want to say on behalf of Alianza of New Mexico, we really appreciate your support and this celebration. Alianza of New Mexico not only focuses on, providing support and collaboration for the GLBT community, but focuses primarily on HIV services for people living with HIV. So we are really grateful for this celebration again and for the support, and want to remind all of those young kids out there that we're in your corner. Thanks.
Thank you.
My name's Linda Rogers, and I'm on the board of Southern New Mexico Pride. And on behalf of our entire queer community, I'd like to thank the Board of Commissioners, the community as a whole, for your unwavering support of the LGBT plus community. And by being part of the community and not separate from, we all thrive. Everyone thrives. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Commissioners. My name is Des Serna. I am a program specialist with FYI Plus, along with LVP La Vida Project. Am I also on the board of PFLAG? This proclamation is just unbelievable. As a transgender man myself, this is something I've never even thought would happen. And I am grateful to be able to help the youth and young adults that are in our community and, for our future. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Anyone else? May I please have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes, the motion carries unanimously.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so I've been asked for a break, so we're going to take a break for about 10 minutes. The time is 10:51. Thank you. We're back in session at 11:02. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll move on to consent agenda items 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14. Would any commissioner like to pull any item for further consideration? May I have a motion, please?
So move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Murillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second to approve the consent agenda. Any discussion, commissioners? Hearing none, I'd like to have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes, the motion carries unanimously.
Consent agenda has a resolution number. Item number 13, it's 2023-41.
Thank you, Amanda. We will now move forward to approvals. Number 15, Doñana Magistrate Court Service Agreement for Court Security Officer Services. And the sheriff is not here. Good morning.
Good morning, Commission. Good morning, Madam Chair. I'm Lieutenant Eric Flores from Doñana County Sheriff's Office. I'm assigned to Judicial Services stationed at District Court. I will be presenting the contract for the Magistrate Court security staffing. As you know, we have been staffing Magistrate Court here in Las Cruces with court security officers. I believe it goes back 4 years when the initial contract was drawn up. And since then, there has been 3 renewals to that contract. Since we have reached the 3rd renewal, we now have to redo the contract and again, have it approved by the commission. So that's what I'm here for today.
Okay, and before we move any further, Lieutenant Flores, may I have a motion on agenda item number 15?
So move.
Thank you, Commissioner Murillo. Second?
Second.
I have a second by Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? None? Anything else, Lieutenant Flores?
No, I don't think so. I think the only thing I'll touch on is that the contract, this new contract is budgeted for a little bit more than the last contract has been. I think the new amount is, I believe it's $264,600. That money does get paid by the state, so they pay for the salaries and the benefits for these deputies to be at magistrate court.
What was the amount again, Madam Chair?
The amount that I have is $264,600, which would be $22,050 monthly, budgeted for their salaries and benefits.
Thank you.
And jar my memory, that's going to be 4 security officers at the magistrate court, full-time?
Yes, ma'am. It's 4 security officers at the magistrate court full-time. There was a little bit of change in language from the previous contract. I believe previous contract said up to 4. This contract does say 4, so we're required 4 deputies at all times.
Okay, and I have a question for you, Lieutenant.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you have a little X-ray machine at the entrance to the magistrate court, but I've noticed that some carry-alls, or more specifically, my equipment bag doesn't fit through there. Is there, what would the cost be to get something that can?
You know, I believe, I'm glad you asked that, because I believe that the 3rd Judicial District Court is actually working on that problem. I know that they're trying to get a larger scanner. They had actually come down and were working on that. There was some software issues with that one, so they had to take it down, but I believe they're going to come back to install a larger scanner so bigger bags can make it through there.
So is that the one that's over by the domestic violence wing that you'll be moving?
Well, the one they're going to replace is the one at the front doors as you first walk into the court.
All right, I was just wondering because I've had to just consolidate everything into a smaller bags to get through it. Okay.
Yes, it is a problem for a lot of people.
Any other questions, commissioners? Comments? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaljo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Judge. We now move on to agenda item number 16, approved contract with Gadsden Independent School District for school resource officers, subject to agreement by Sheriff Mr. Macias. And may I have a motion on that, please?
So move.
I have a motion by Commissioner Murillo. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Vice Chair Sheldon Hernandez. Mr. Macias?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me give a little bit of an overall perspective on this, or a little bit of information, and then I'm going to ask Mr. Gooden just to give a brief description of the internal workings of the contract. Again, this is a contract that differs a little bit from the one that you have just approved, because this one really does have a very comprehensive reimbursement of all of the associated costs of providing security. The contract that you just approved for the magistrate court covers salaries and benefits, but doesn't cover any liability insurance, doesn't cover other associated costs. Those are borne by the county. This is a contract, though, that I want to say resurrects the prior relationship that we had with the Gadsden Independent School District. As you're aware, this is not a novel idea. It is one that was in place previously, where the county was providing school resource officers to the Gadsden Independent School District. Although there is controversy associated with it, in that, at least at this point, publicly, the sheriff is indicating her lack of support in going forward to provide school resource officers. From a management perspective, we believe that it's something that certainly can be accomplished, that there is a need in the community, that the Gadsden Independent School District and the parents that have their students within the school district have a right to have a sense of a greater degree of security within the school districts, especially in lieu of the wave of school shootings that have occurred across the country. I do want to inform the commission that the Las Cruces Public Schools has 11 school resource officers that are provided by the city, the Las Cruces City Police, that actually the Gadsden Independent School District already has a relationship with the Sunland Park City Police, who provide school resource officers to at least the high school and middle school, I believe, that are contained within the city of Sunland Park municipal limits. That even the city of Anthony, with as small a law enforcement office, has been willing to provide a school resource officers. However, that school lies outside of the town of Anthony, and therefore needs to have an officer that would be commissioned by the sheriff's department. I don't believe that that has occurred. So all of the other schools that would be subject to this initial memorandum of understanding are outside of a municipality, and therefore cannot rely on the city police and must look to the sheriff's office to provide school resource officers. And again, I do want to emphasize that school resource officers, it's not just here in Doña Ana County that they're being provided, but across the state of New Mexico, in a number of the larger school districts, there are school resource officers that are being provided by local law enforcement. It's important to note that as a school resource officer that has a legal definition statutorily that basically calls for a certified law enforcement officer, and certainly in that kind of setting, you would want someone who is as well trained as you can have. School resource officers, again, statutorily, are required to receive specialized training. That training, obviously, is available, and it's not difficult to make those kind of arrangements because there's specialized training that is provided by service providers in this area. And again, it is oriented to basically working in an environment that has both teachers and students. All of that would be required under this agreement. I have been in discussions with the superintendent. I was able to participate in the most recent school board meeting for the Gadsden School Board, some of whose members are present here today. I do know that the funding mechanism to pay for this memorandum of understanding and the service that would be provided by the Sheriff's Department has already been approved by the school board. Certainly the amount that has been approved is more than what would be necessary to basically achieve this goal. The initial goal is basically 5 school resource officers. That is what this memorandum of understanding addresses. My understanding from discussions also with the superintendent, and he remains here with us in order to address the commission on this topic. He basically has indicated that the memorandum of understanding in the form that it is presented to the board, it basically is acceptable from his perspective. And again, I do want to note to you that there is an attachment at the end that we placed there in order to be able to make modifications in terms of the actual costs. And again, there is some degree of flexibility. We are asking for the board to approve the ability for the county manager to negotiate some final details related to the memorandum of understanding if the board was to approve it. Because again, it's not clear to us the amount of hourly compensation for a deputy or a school resource officer would vary depending on the level of experience. So we would have a range contained in attachment A. And again, I do want to note that on a very personal level, that I believe that there is a tremendous need for this service. And I believe that it's important to be able to respond to the concerns of the community in terms of how they feel safest. I believe that all of the services that are provided by law enforcement is for that purpose. Does it stop necessarily every crime from being committed? Absolutely not. But the presence of law enforcement officers is clearly supported in terms of what deters a bad event from occurring, or a negative event, or a crime from occurring, is the presence of law enforcement. I don't think that anybody can really dispute that anywhere in the country. The thing is, these crimes occur when there isn't sufficient law enforcement. And that alone doesn't stop things from happening, doesn't stop deaths from occurring, but certainly being able to respond and being able to prevent further damage is certainly the role that law enforcement has. And again, I believe that this is very appropriate and needed, and that all of the surrounding law enforcement agencies have stepped up to respond to the different school districts that have requested this kind of assistance. And let me ask Mr. Gooden to see if he has any other very specific discussion related to the content. And I'm asking that the commission listen to what the public may have to say related to this matter, and then we're happy to respond to the questions related to the actual content of the service agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. Mr. Gooden.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I don't have a whole lot more to add to that. I do know we did do another proofread through it. There are a few grammatical or areas that we would make a couple of changes, place commas in different places, but I think that was being asked with Mr. Macias to have that ability to make the finalization to it. The one thing that is important to note in this agreement would be a 3-party agreement. It does require the agreement of the sheriff in order for it to be able to become effective, because she does control the day-to-day operations within her department and within the way the employees in that office are assigned. So it would require her agreement to it. I did have a brief conversation with her last week. She had sent me an email. I had forwarded her the proposed contract, and she sent me back an email, and I spoke to her briefly. There are some areas from operational end that she might, if she were to agree to it, that she would probably want to change. And I told her, well, that would be something we would talk about if we got to that point, because I definitely believe her input on the actual mechanics of it would be important in finalizing the agreement. So if we do get to that point, then we would definitely want more input from the sheriff's department as well. The other thing is, as we tried to break down the costs, one of the questions that has come up over and over is what is the liability? I did have some conversations a while back with the New Mexico Association, or the New Mexico County's Insurance Authority. They'd indicated when they do our law enforcement liability policy, they, in addition to other things, they assess approximately $4,600 per deputy in coming up with the premium, so that's included in there. And as far as other, issues of liability, people ask, the biggest thing is, from my standpoint, with the legal department and risk management department, we evaluate the risk, we advise you of what the risks are, and then if the policy decision is made to proceed a certain way, then we do what we can to transfer that risk to somebody else. And I think in this type of a situation, your biggest risk areas are making sure you have proper training. So if you have the proper training in place, then that alleviates some of the risks that might come up. And then we have the insurance that helps to alleviate those risks in the event something should happen to protect the assets of the county. So just because there's additional liability doesn't mean something we shouldn't do. Just because we can transfer that risk somewhere doesn't mean it's something we should do. That's a policy decision for the board to decide, but I think it's something that can be addressed should we get to that point. And unless you have any other questions, I think that's all my comments.
Madam Chair, if I could just supplement that. Again, you'll see that the liability cost, but this is the same cost, whether you're a deputy out in the field, whether you're a court security officer, whether you're a school resource officer. What it basically costs is $4,600 for every individual that is added to our roll. There is no difference. Our liability carrier doesn't treat it any different whether you're a deputy in the field or whether you are a school resource officer. It's still the same cost.
Thank you. Commissioners, Mr. Dempsey, is there anything you'd like to say to the commission before we start with our discussion, or members of the school board?
Thank you, Madam Chair, commissioners. Maybe I just have a couple notes that I'll highlight from my perspective as superintendent, and I apologize if we overlap with some information Mr. Macias provided. This has been an ongoing project. Through multiple meetings between myself, the Doña Ana County Sheriff, and the Doña Ana County Manager, it was determined that multiple steps had to be taken. First step was funding source. County shouldn't have to bear the expense of this. So as was mentioned in recent, last week, our school board approved our operational budget, which has included a $3 million item that would allow us to expend this and contract with the county to do so. As was also mentioned, we do have a current agreement with Sunland Park Police Department, who is providing SROs at Santa Teresa High School and Santa Teresa Middle School within their jurisdiction. Anything outside of that, they're not able to work with. Then the next step was the development of an MOU. That was clearly directed by the sheriff that said in order to proceed with this project, we needed that to occur. You've heard a lot of the details of it and got to see, I think you probably are getting to see that and the piece of it. So we have, I'm gonna say 99% of that done, maybe some details in language that needs to get worked out. The other mention of this is we did allocate a significant dollar amount, which is more than currently needed, with the goal understanding this is a long-term project that could grow to be larger than 5. The reason why 5, I think understanding that it is a long-term project and staffing of individual situations require this revolving kind of door, unfortunately. Hopefully the door doesn't swing a lot, okay? But the hope is we want to find individuals who really want to be SROs. We're not looking for people to be just forced into that. We want individuals who truly want to do this type of work. And I do believe it is different work than some law enforcement individuals may be interested in. And then just keep in mind we've said this many times today, and it's come out in different areas, but Gadsden is a sum of a bunch of small communities, very rural. We're the largest rural district in the state of New Mexico. And that leads us to some unique challenges. Our families, I truly believe, want an armed officer on their child's campus, and that gives them a feeling of safety and security. Now, does that mean every bad thing in the world go away? I wish I had that magic wand. But it does, I believe, start us in the right direction, and it gives our kids the same opportunity and our families the same opportunity as is allowed our neighbors here in Las Cruces. I appreciate the opportunity to partner with the county and look forward to these. We even mentioned other projects that we're partnering on, and we look forward to those opportunities. So thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Dempsey. Are there any other members of the school board that would like to address the commission that are present? Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. I actually come to you as a parent. I was back, as Mr. Macias mentioned, this is not a novel conversation. I presented before you back in August of 2019, and it was for the same thing. It was requesting SROs. So it's something that, it's a conversation that has been ongoing for quite some time. And as a parent, I feel that, we do have that dire need. We look for your support in this, and I do believe that the conversation to be considered between the three parties is really necessary. In 2019, I had 3 children as part of the district. Now I have 2. One of them already graduated. But the fear is still the same. This was pre-pandemic. Now when the pandemic came, things are even worse when we talk about social emotional. And I feel that we need that support. We talk about how we are outside of our municipality. We do need someone to be there to be able to at least look at the situation. They can value and see what is necessary. So I think that that's what we're seeking, as parents, as community members. We need that. Again, back in 2019, it was a community member, a grandparent that were here presenting on the same need that we currently have in 2024 again. So please consider this. And like I say, I think it is a conversation that needs to continue since it hasn't been ongoing. And I look forward to being able to hear from all 3 parties. Thank you.
Thank you. And your name, please?
I am so sorry. My name is Claudia Rodriguez.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. Is there anyone else that would like to address the commission on this issue? Good morning. And your name, please?
Buenos dias. My name is Laura Salazar Flores. I am a Chaparral resident. I've been living in Chaparral, New Mexico, proud resident of Chaparral since 1987. Do the math, that's 36 years. And so I love my community. Why I'm here as a parent, I do have a total of 2 boys attending, one Chaparral High School, one Chaparral Middle School. I've got a 4-year-old that will enter our schools, our district in about a year. And then I have a proud graduate of 2021 who now is an NMSU student. And so I'm here as a parent and as a community member of Chaparral. I'm going to say, that many times as Chaparralians, we felt left out. And so, I remember a while back when my son had a seizure. As a mom, it feels like an eternity for EMS to get there. So should, God forbid, a situation happen in our community, we want that response time to be quick. And so, I would echo the responses of our state representative, Willie Madrid, that we really need those resource officers out in the Chaparral community, but also in our other areas in the Gadsden Independent School District that don't have, as I wrote here, that don't have that municipality, I guess is how you would say it, services. So we are we would be receiving services from the Doña Ana County Sheriff's Office. As a resident of Chaparral, I would just ask that between our county commissioners, the Doña Ana County Commission, our Sheriff Stewart, and the Gadsden Independent District, I would ask that there would be amicable discussion, what's best for our children. It is a challenge, and I think just like our kiddos who came this morning representing the best robotics, they're solving problems. Here we have a challenge, we have a problem. There is a solution. We just have to be amicable with one another and make sure we're taking the best interest of our kiddos. And of course, I would ask also that I'm also advocating for our deputies in the sense that most definitely, we choose our careers. I'm actually a current teacher with the Las Cruces Public Schools. And so I used to work at formerly known as Oñate High School, but Oregon Mountain. And so we did have SROs. And so as a employee of LCPS, that's an advantage that our students here have. I'd like the same thing for our students in Chaparral and for the Gadsden Independent School District students. And I know it's a long-term project, and your consideration is appreciated again. Hope that all parties work amicably. And let me go back to the deputies. What I was trying to say is, we don't want to force individuals to be at a campus if they choose not to. Every person has a calling. Every person decides to do whatever they need to do once we grow up. But definitely I would like to see SROs in our schools, but hopefully the deputies that are, placed there want to be there and they receive proper training to protect our kids, but also to communicate and educate the community. Most definitely that just because there's an SRO doesn't mean 100% that your kids, it's just another opportunity to protect our kids. But with that, I conclude, and thank you for your time, Madam Chair and Commissioners of Doña Ana. God bless you.
Thank you, Mrs. Flores. Is there any other person that would like to approach the podium regarding agenda item number 16? Commissioners, any questions, any comments? Good. Of course. Good morning, Mr. Quesada. How are you?
Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Jaime Quesada, a retired law enforcement officer over 25 years. I did 23 years with the Las Cruces Police Department, and I was your former undersheriff. I wasn't planning to come up here to speak on this. I just wanted to kind of hear and see what was going on. Some of the concerns, I've been looking into the contract and what the goals are. The goals are great, and I think that is the direction that the county needs to go as far as getting SROs into the schools. The concern, the narrative that I keep hearing, though, is this fear of the situations that happen within the schools that you would want a quick response from law enforcement. What people are not seeing also by having SROs, which I ask that you all go to the National Association of School Resource Officers website and look exactly what an SRO really should be, okay? The biggest thing that I've been hearing about concerns from some people from the public is, well, they're gonna be disciplinary personnel. They're gonna be the fear there in trying to correct things at the schools, and it's gonna scare the kids. That's not what an SRO is there for, okay? You are at the perfect opportunity right now to put SROs in there and build a better trust with the deputies and the school and the teachers. Mr. Dempsey's here, doing everything he can to try to get school, to get us in there. And wow, what an opportunity. If you look at the website, it'll tell you what a true SRO is. The contract, not 99% yet, but getting there. I'll say that, because it does not state anywhere in there. All it says is they have to be trained as commissioned law enforcement. You're gonna have to do a very good progressive system in hiring these positions, and then finding out who's gonna wanna be in there, and then getting them trained as true SROs. Because if you look on the website, it'll also cover what training they need to go through. It's a basic SRO training. It's also how to deal with mental ill children, how to start programs within the schools. As an SRO, you're not just a law enforcement officer. you're not just a law enforcement officer when you're out there dealing with the public. We're out there dealing with them as informal counselors. We're out there as educators. We're out there as, yes, as law enforcement, but we wear many hats. And you gotta provide the same opportunity for the children. I was shocked today when you saw the kids are concerned about their safety and what's going on also, and they want to be part of the system because you have a group of kids who are wanting to go after speeders in their area with the system. So they have, how awesome would that be if there was a law enforcement officer there who the program could have asked, hey, what do you think about this? How can that help us while we're developing this system to help you all in our community? All I'm saying is it needs to happen. The sheriff, yes, is going to be very difficult. Please work with them because they are short on deputies right now. You do not want to remove deputies off the streets. Manpower is going to be low. You're going to have to give them some leniency in how to recruit them, get them filled, and to fill the positions. Will it be all 5 right away? I do not know. As far as the infrastructure within, you're going to have to also get a supervisor. If you're going to make it fair for the deputies, you're going to want a sergeant at least that is also trained as an SRO, so they know how to supervise a true SRO and what they're doing and supporting them with the programs that they're supposed to be getting involved with within the schools. So I don't know if that's a 3 minutes or what, but that's my portion on there. I do hope that you vote yes on this and at least start the conversations. It can always be changed. I think there's even a section there where after so many days, if it's not gonna work out manpower-wise, whatever, write a letter, get the communication happening, bring people to the table, let's talk, let's work it out, let's make it happen, let's think about our kids and the deputies. I'm open if there's any questions. If not, I know you guys don't open it up too much to the public, but feel free to contact me anytime. Thank you so
Mr.
much.
Quesada.
Do I need a sign?
No. Oh, yes. Commissioners, any comments, any questions? Commissioner Sanchez.
I have several, but I'll start with a couple. I think, so just to clarify the point that Mr. Gooden had said earlier, because of the way this is presented to us, without the sheriff's signature, this would not be, without her signature, we cannot ratify or move forward with this agreement. Is that correct?
Madam Chair, Commissioners, it requires 3 parties to agree to it. And so it would not become effective and would not be would not go into effect providing the school resource officers without the sheriff's acceptance of the contract as well.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gooden. I have some concerns with the way that it's written. And I look at one of the notes that's noted here in section 5.10, where it says, the SRO is not a school disciplinarian. The SRO will not administer discipline or punishment. And while I haven't seen this personally because DASO was not in my purview, in previous communications through the years from the sheriff, she had indicated there was instances where DASO SROs in the past had been used as that disciplinarian, as the boogeyman, as the bad guy. And I think while it's in the contract, I have concerns that how we can get this addressed, because one of the things is that if we were to move forward with this contract and you have SROs in the schools, I think it's an opportunity for the law enforcement to build that relationship with students in a positive manner. Obviously, they're there in the case there are emergencies that they have to address or whatever, but I don't see any remedies listed in this contract that would allow for us to raise that issue. I look at section 16 under termination, but even then, there's no way, I don't see any written policy in how to address grievances that DASO may have with the GISD administration or staff. So I think that would be, I would like to see something, not a termination, but just a way in which that could be addressed. Looking at termination in section 16, there's only one, I think, and maybe this is just a matter of the way it's written, but you have only 16.1. I would like to see that broken up into 2 different items, 16.1, 16.2, because It indicates that we may terminate this agreement at any time with a 60-day written notice. And then also, you may also terminate, or at least have we might have the removal of SROs within 15 school days. So I think there's two different cases in there. But along those lines, I don't know, Mr. Gooden or Mr. Macias, there's a term in here that says acceptable norms, and I don't know where that is defined at all. What is considered acceptable norms?
Where are you looking?
It's number 6 and 16. So I don't know what is considered an acceptable norm. Is it, when we're looking at, I know the intent of this wording is to allow the sheriff to ensure she has enough manpower for patrolling the county, and if she's under, then she can remove the SROs to help with staffing levels. But I want to make sure that I feel like there should be some level of definition both for GISD and Doña Ana County where acceptable norms should be either identified or at least some defined in some manner. Because I think it's very vague that it doesn't allow for, maybe I'm not the lawyer, but Mr. Gooden, I feel like being so vague, if we were ever to come to a disagreement with if we were to enter an agreement, GISD has an issue with the sheriff saying that we're not meeting, that she's pulled her SROs, it doesn't seem like that vagueness leaves some liability on the county side for us.
Madam Chair, Commissioner, I think I don't disagree with that that comment. I mean, there are standards, the number of deputies that they would want to keep on the street at any given time. So looking at what they've looked at, but I think that's, again, as I made the comment before, there are areas in here where I think it would really, if it were to be adopted, accepted by the sheriff, if she were to decide to join into this, that there would be some areas where we'd want more input from her, and this might be one of those.
Okay.
Although, Madam Chair, may I address that? This is to the benefit of the sheriff, though, of the sheriff's department, if you read it. DASO reserves the right to remove the SROs at any time DASO staffing levels fall below acceptable norms. So it would be up to the sheriff to determine whether there is sufficient staffing out in the community. It would leave it at that level. To make it really precise, if it falls beyond 15 or if it falls beyond 12, that really ties the hand of the sheriff. This language gives the sheriff greater flexibility. And again, it gives the sheriff the opportunity to give the Gadsden School District notice that I'm going to have to remove someone for the following reasons. It doesn't give Gadsden the right to say, no, we don't agree with you, so you're not going to do that. So you would want to have the language more flexible and not real specific to the actual numbers of law enforcement officers in the community.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. I guess I don't agree with that statement because reserves the right is where you have the flexibility. That statement right there gives you the flexibility. It just indicates that if they fall under this, the sheriff may have the right to pull when they feel that they need to. Like I said, I just want to make sure that we're watching our liability from a county because, and no offense, Mr. Dempsey and the board, I'm not saying that this will happen, but I'm just saying in the case that if they disagree with the sheriff, they can take us and have a lawsuit against us, or at least some sort of actions in which they would say, we don't feel that's an acceptable norm. And we have to prove, or the sheriff would have to prove, that it is an acceptable norm. So that's just a comment. We don't need to come to a conclusion here, but there's that.
And if I may interrupt on that point, Commissioner Sanchez, because I'd like to speak regarding that. When we say acceptable norms, to me, and we've seen it before, all of us, if there's a car chase, then either LCPD, state police, sheriff, Sunland Park, they move their officers to where the situation is most needed. If there's a bank robbery, well, then you're going to have more officers there. And so in this case, I believe that the sheriff should determine where to place her officers in case of an emergency. The acceptable norm, well, that would be for her to determine. I don't think we can determine and really predict every single situation that's going to happen in this county on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, or on a yearly basis. I think that a sheriff is competent to move her officers where they are most needed, so I don't see an issue on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Sanchez.
The other item under SRO specific training, or under, Section 7, where it talks about training and briefing, I didn't know, in my mind, I would like, I figured it might behoove us to actually have some specific outlined or training, because I think it's just saying right now when I go through, they will attend monthly training sessions, briefing sessions with DASO and SROs. They'll be required to attend GISD designated training. So it's saying that they'll have to go to training, but nothing that's specifically outlined. And so I'd love for us to actually have specific training that that both parties would agree that SROs need to be certified in. And if there's more, that's great, but at least some sort of minimum standard that we require our SROs. And
Madam Chair, Commissioner, if I might on that, the law does set out what is required to be an SRO. There's statutorily required training that's required in order to be an SRO. The statute actually requires that if anybody's serving as an SRO, they must have that training completed within 1 year of beginning to work as an SRO. Now, it would be determined to decide whether or not we would allow them to start while they're in that process of getting that mandatory training, or if they would have to have that first. That would be a decision to be made, but it is set out by statute. I'm looking to see if I have the statute here that outlines it, but it's very specific as to what training is required in order to be considered an SRO or school resource officer under the section 29-7-14. And then it sets out, if it's in that statute or in the regulations, it sets out the different training that is required. They have to have training involving the differences in successful law enforcement when conducted inside a school environment, including the understanding of the adolescent brain, crisis management and de-escalation techniques, tools to be positive role models for youth, including mentoring and informal counseling techniques, school resource officers' role and responsibility to school personnel and students and their families, and strategies for connecting students and families to appropriate resources that will assist students to succeed in schooling, including strategies for mitigating truancy, a variety of instructional techniques, as well as classroom management tools to provide law-related education to students, understanding of adolescent development and adolescent mental health disorders and treatment, and identification and response to students who are suspected of having mental health needs, including critical skills and the capacity for appropriately responding to behavioral issues that are typically observed among adolescents with mental health needs. That's statutorily training that is required in order to be a school resource officer. They must be also commissioned and certified law enforcement officer. This training was offered last year by the New Mexico Law Enforcement Academy, and the training must be through the Law Enforcement Academy or an entity approved by them. I don't know specifically that the National Association of School Resource Officers is approved. I would assume they probably are, but we can find that out. But that's the organization that Mr. Quesada was talking about, and I've been on their website, and it lists out the training that they have, and it's consistent with this as well. So it's not, and there is a place in here that requires that they obtain the training as required by law, and so this is just some additional under 7, some supplement to that, if you will.
And again, Madam Chair, it's primarily just an issue of drafting in terms of the content. Normally, you don't include what is already mandated statutorily because you can't be an SRO unless you've had that training. But if you would feel more comfortable, we literally could take that language because that is what is specifically required and put it under this section.
I thank you, Mr. Macias. Thank you, Mr. Gooden. I think the only thing I'm looking at is I want to make sure, if we're saying that the standards, I think it's I can't remember if it was section 4 that just says exactly that, basic qualifications. So, really, I mean, we could just leave section 4 and eliminate section 7 and we'd be, I mean, I guess where I'm going is this, right? I know that's taking it over the top, but understand, I think what you're saying, Mr. Gooden, is that is all addressed in section 4. But section 7, if we want to address specific training and it allows, us to define that, then I would love to see that defined in section 7, rather than just leaving a lot of vagueness. Again, while I understand why there is vagueness, we don't want to be, if something changes, if something is, we don't want to have to go and amend a contract over small changes. I'm just suggesting that maybe we make some changes in there. And then the last question I have was, and maybe shame on me, but I would love to see what the contract LCPD has with LCPS and how it compares to this contract.
Madam Chair, I believe I shared that with the commissioners.
I don't recall. I'll go back and look, but.
Yes, we certainly had a copy of it, and there was a copy. It was, I believe, an email that had 2 attachments to it. One of it was the prior the Gadsden School District agreement with the sheriff and the county, the previous one, plus a copy of the Las Cruces agreement with Las Cruces Public Schools. I believe that certainly we reviewed it while we were drafting or going over this draft. So I believe that I shared it with the commission prior to the last meeting by at least a week or a week and a half.
I'm looking here at the email, and the one that I see, unless it's all in one file, is just the MOU with DASO and Gadsden. I do not see
the prior. There should have been,
unless it came from someone else other than you, I only see one email sent on Thursday, April 27th, 2023 at 3:29 p.m. And I don't see, like I said, unless Jana or somebody else sent it, I don't see it here. So, but that's all I wanted to address. I can hold a couple of my comments for later.
and again, Mr. Gooden is going to send it to the board right now, but the format and the issues addressed are extremely similar. And Madam Chair, I think that if I can just be permitted to address one of the first concern that Commissioner Sanchez brought up, this section 510, again, to me, it's real clear that it gives the power to the SRO to determine what is an appropriate situation to respond to. It says that very clearly, the SRO is not a school disciplinarian. The SRO will not administer discipline or punishment. If members of the staff of GSID believes a violation of the law has occurred, they can contact the SRO, such as a student attacking a teacher. That clearly would be a crime anywhere. So yes, the SRO can be brought in. That I keep hearing that issue, but I'm unaware of, it's very simple to address in terms of the discussions with the administration, that you can't be, pulling a kid out of the room because he's being overly talkative or he's offended the teacher and then march him over to the principal's office. That's not what a SRO does. And so I want to make sure that there isn't that confusion. There's a lot of, these are the expectations of the SRO.
Correct.
They're not supposed to be a disciplinarian.
Correct, and I know that's clear there, but there is nothing in the contract that defines how we address any grievances should they be raised, unless I missed it in the contract.
Well, no, because it's the SRO that makes the determination.
But if the SRO has done that, they have a chain of command, and it talks about the chain of command here in this contract. But if they have a chain of command, we should have that. Doña Ana County and DASO should have an official way in which to address grievances. So that way, you know, it's not just necessarily on a school level. If we, you know, I would much rather have it so that the county, the sheriff, or however GISD wants to address it, they are aware of it, it's documented, and so we have a method in which to ensure that we're following a paper trail, because if we're identifying issues that continue to occur, we can have that documented and can address those issues. But without a grievance process that's detailed in here, it's gonna be, well, I told so-and-so, this wasn't addressed, oh, it keeps happening, it's not being addressed, and we have no paper trail in which to properly have a good communication with the GISD administration. And I want to make sure we do, because I want this to be a good relationship. I'm not saying that it won't, but I want to make sure that we're covering all our bases. We have a proper way in which we're all communicating, because I think at the end of the day, communication is going to be key between DASO, Doña Ana County, and GISD. That's why I bring up that comment. But like I said, there's just, the only thing we have is termination, but no means in which to address grievances in the contract. And it can go the other way. It can be if GISD is having an issue with our SROs, they have a way in which to raise the issue with DASO or Doña Ana County. That's the way I see it. Like I said, it's a two-way street, and making sure that we are that they get, GISD gets what they need, the students and the community get what they need, and it's going to be, it's a, you know, it's a relationship here in the way that I look at it, but it relies on communication. So, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Any other comments from any other commissioner? Commissioner Murillo?
I agree with Mr. Dempsey's sentiment there about having unique challenges here in our southern part of the area. And I hope that our commissioners do approve this MOU, because we do need it there in our community. I know that the city of Anthony, did talk to Chief, and she said that she was willing to assist Mr. Dempsey within the city limits, right? And I know City of Sunland Park is assisting, but on unincorporated areas, they do need those resource officers. I've had communication with various parents from the Chamberino, La Mesa, Vado, Berino. I've even had parents from Chaparral, and they all want a resource officer. They want that protection, they want that safety. And also, it's not about the safety, it's about having that trust between the youth and the SROs. Having that mental health is their well-being, the mental health. You know, look what happened in Uvalde. And I bring it as personal because what happened in Uvalde, my children's father was related to one of the students that passed in Uvalde. And my kids were very affected. Even though they're not in school, that was one of their relatives, right? Now, what happened to us 2 years ago in the school district with someone that was from UK that was threatening us and all that, that's scary. A lot of the children were scared. And I know some have already gone out of high school, but this is very important that we have those SROs. Las Cruces has them. I've talked to parents in Las Cruces, and they feel safe, that they know that there's somebody there that is going to protect their children somehow. You know, but our school district really needs that. And we do have those unique challenges, and I just ask that, you know, that you do approve this, because I know it will prevent not all violence, but some type of violence. And it's not asking about having kids to go discipline, oh yeah, we're gonna go talk to this, or if you don't behave, it's not that. But just a simple, a situation where a teacher is being threatened or assaulted by a student. You never know. That could happen. And having that SR right there avoids any more violence or anything like that. So I am asking and requesting from y'all that you do approve this MOU. I mean, our kids are very important to us. And then I'm a parent now of a little one that's going into the school district, and to me, that's very important as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Murillo. Any other discussion, questions by commissioners? Vice Chair Sheldon Hernandez.
Commissioner Sanchez, you definitely stole the show today, but I think some of the points that you pointed out were on the right track. I do think that they need to be looked into and looked at, and this isn't the final revision of this contract/MOU. It's going to change and evolve, I would imagine, but also sharing a large portion of Gadsden Independent School District's territory with Commissioner Murillo. I have gotten several calls on this and to support this. So I do share a lot of those sentiments with you. So thank you for saying them. But I believe that this would probably be coming forth in front of us again once all the details are worked out. Is that correct?
No, the way that, again, what we're doing is taking in input. What the expectation is that there would be a vote as to whether to go forward with the agreement, a vote today, because, again, it would signal certainly the support of the board to enter into a memorandum of understanding. The school board, I believe, would also take action related to the approval. But today, subject, and it's basically giving the authority to the county manager to address any of the minor issues that are being identified. So yes, the intent is to either tell us you support and you want to go forward with this, and basically county manager finalize the agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Macias. Any further questions, commissioners? I do have a comment. This is a draft, and this is an agreement between three parties. We have two parties at the table. We have a party that is not present, which is very unfortunate. And lacking input from that third party does not perhaps answer all the questions that any commissioner up here has. But we need to move forward with this. We need to start the process and authorizing the county manager to make the changes needed as suggested, hopefully by the sheriff very, very quickly, will put this community in a wonderful situation. And we need to take advantage of this opportunity. As Mr. Quesada mentioned when he was up here, that, school resource officers are there to help out the kids, and this is a wonderful opportunity to start bonding with the children. We have the children here in Las Cruces that do have the benefit of having an SRO. The children in Sunland Park, the children in the municipality of Anthony, and I don't see why the unincorporated areas of Doñana don't have that same benefit. And I think it's a very good starting point. It can be changed if needed. But commissioners, let's just start the process, and I encourage the sheriff to meet with the county manager and the superintendent to address the changes that we might have at this point, or any changes that she wishes to make in the future. Anything else, commissioners?
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Just looking over the LCPS, LCPD, thank you, Mr. Gooden, for sending it over to me. I just want to point out that while it does not specifically address some of the concerns that I have in terms of training, and so be it, but it does specifically state here in its example, one of the wording here is if a principal is dissatisfied with an SRO who has been assigned to that principal's school, the principal may request through the superintendent that the chief of police assign a different officer or different SRO for that school. And so again, like I said, I think there's these things that are that we see in the LCPS, LCPD that we could theoretically leverage. into this agreement. I am in support of having SROs and working with Gadsden to develop a contract. I understand the concern with the sheriff and understand how, what she's previously stated here. There's a couple of things I want to say in that the questions have come up is that is the county commission basically forcing another elected official to do something with this agreement, with the contract? And I want to say that my understanding is no. We're trying to, well, number one, we can't move forward without the sheriff's signature on this. That's number one. Number two, at the end of the day, we're trying to enter an agreement with GISD for funding, and we create headcount specifically around the SROs for DASO. And it's now up to DASO to do DASO and our HR to hire them and move forward and fill those positions. So where we are as a commission, we're limited on what we can force. We're not forcing the sheriff to do anything. I think it's like a grant, almost like a grant agreement. So I just want to make that clear, because I think that's something that I have had people ask me about. Are we, what are we doing in this with this agreement? And I just want to make that clear. As a parent, I do support SROs. I think for several reasons. Obviously, we want to try and do whatever, I want to try to make sure we're doing whatever we can to prevent anything that can affect students on a campus in a negative manner, whether that be violent, especially what we've seen in violent events and so on. That's just where I want to make sure we have all the tools at the schools to help them make sure our kids are safe. That's without a doubt. So with that being said, I do have concerns with just wanting to make sure that we approve this final document. I would not want to approve, I would much rather table this item to the meeting on the 13th, to where that gives us a few more weeks in which to iron out the final details and then come to us for approval on the final agreement, because I just think there's still big things in here that we need to address that I would much rather see, rather than authorizing the county manager to move forward. Because I think in general, the county manager, if we give him authorization, that's fine if it was smaller items, but I would much rather, I'd feel more comfortable that we as a board, as a commission, approve the final agreement. But that's how I feel.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Any other comments or questions?
Madam Chair, Commissioner,
Mr. Gooden.
I've been tasked with drafting this document, and I get a lot of, I have 5 people telling me how to draft a document, 5 commissioners telling me how to draft it, and point out different things. It makes it very difficult to draft that type of a document. And so it might be helpful if those that express concerns want to put different language in, they sent me a draft with that in it. It might be helpful in drafting the document. But I think until we have the sheriff at the table, we cannot come up with a final document, regardless of what changes we make. We postpone it for 2 weeks. We're still at the same point we are today if we don't have the sheriff at the table. So I think what's being asked for now, whether this is a good way to do it or not a good way to do it, is that the commission say, we're willing to go forward and we approve this being done with the changes that may be made at the point that the sheriff comes to the table. So just from my standpoint of having to draft this document, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Gooden.
Madam Chair, with that being said, and I do believe we need to move forward on this to show that we are committed to this. Is there a way to amend this motion for the approval to where it does have to come before this board for final changes? Is there a way to do that, to say that this board approves the contract with the final revisions being brought forth to this board for final approval once everyone is at the table before it is signed, or after? I don't necessarily want to table this. I would rather get it done and get the conversations going, but I do want final approval to be from this board, So if Mr. Nelson, if you can tell me how to phrase that, I would love that, but that's kind of where my feelings are as well.
And if I may, again, as I stated before, we have 3 different parties that need to come into this memorandum of understanding. We have 2 parties here, and the reason we cannot go forward with the 3 parties is because one party refuses, or perhaps not refuses, but has not been willing to discuss these school resource officers at the schools. And we are very limited as to what we can do without that third party and that input. Thank you. Mr. Macias.
Madam Chair, let me suggest just a couple of things. First of all, what you're needing to do is to say that 2 parties want this to occur. You represent this community. You don't abdicate just because it's a law enforcement issue. You represent the totality of this community, the 5 of you. So I think it's important for you to say, we want this. We believe that it's right. We believe it's in the benefit of the community. That has to be a clear message. The other, forgive me, I understand that there may be some concerns here. So just amend the document. That's why we bring these things to you. If we haven't heard from you before the meeting, then the appropriate approach is, if you want the final approval, just amend. If Commissioner Sanchez really feels that that language that's in the Las Cruces about being the principal asking for in fact, it should never be the principal, it should only be the superintendent. But if the superintendent wants a change in the SRO, all we have to do is duplicate that language. So all we have to do, and we can tell you right now where to put that language, so it's just amended. I move that we amend this proposed service agreement to include this language. If there's something that needs to be addressed, because I only see 4 points right now, 5.10, I would like, again, for the superintendent to be able to address, but we can amend this document right now.
And if I may, Mr. Macias, Amanda, who was the one that made the motion on this, please? I don't recall.
I apologize, I didn't write that down because I was getting a signature.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was Commissioner Murillo made the original motion and
I made the
Commissioner
motion.
Sheljo second.
And
Okay,
Sheljo made
so
the
we had a
second.
motion by Commissioner Murillo, second by Commissioner or Vice Chair Shelter Hernandez. I would have to have
No,
no amendment by
no,
to
no.
her motion?
No, because the motion would only be, the only change that you would make to it is the approval as the document has been amended, if there are any amendments to be made. And they're easy. I move that we amend Section 7 to include the following language.
Madam Chair, Mr. Macias, I understand that that's what we want to do. And I mean, we could spend, if we want to spend several hours in here, we can do that. But I think the issue is that we should take this offline and have further discussions with Mr. Dempsey and so on. Yeah, it's simple. We can do that. But I think the problem is right now is that the motion is to approve the contract language as it's been proposed in the agenda packet. And if that's the motion, I can't approve it. I think, as the vice chair has already pointed out, if we can approve it such that it comes back to us, because I think you said when you started off, you want us to give you authorization to make changes. So we approve this, but the motion did not reflect that. The motion reflected the approval of this, right? If I'm not mistaken? Or am I wrong?
Yes, but...
Oh, it says here, and okay, so fine, it says here, but it gives you the final approval to do the final contract. But I guess, like I said, given that motion that we're approving right here, look, I mean, like I said, we can extend this out, we can, if we want, and we can go through section by section and look at amendments we want to make. If we want to do that, let's do it. But I think the smarter move is to table this until the June 13th decision, or the June 13th BOCC meeting, that gives us 3 weeks in which to allow for some changes, and then come back with a final approval. I don't know. I'll leave it up to the commissioners how we want to do this, because this is going to take time, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I understand what Mr. Gooden's saying. I think where he's saying he's got 5 bosses or 5 people coming to him with how we want this. That's fair. But we have 4 out of the 5 here. We can discuss it while we're all here in open session and go forward with it, and we'll get you an answer. But given that, I'll still make a motion that we postpone this agenda item to a date certain, June 13th, 2023.
Well, I have a prior motion on the table to approve this. Now I have a motion to table this until June 13th. Is there a second to table this until June 13th?
I believe we need to vote on the original motion.
No, the motion to table will take precedence, so.
Okay,
The motion
sorry.
has been made, it does need a second, and then that would be the motion that has precedence.
And it doesn't have to, and just for clarification, no one has, if no one agrees, they don't have to second, it can, but I'm just putting that motion out to see if there is a second.
Thank you, Commissioner Sanchez. Is there a second on this motion? All right, motion dies to table this until June 13th. So any discussion before we vote on the original motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
could you hear from, again, Superintendent Dempsey, who did want to address some of the
course.
issues that were raised?
Mr. Dempsey.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Let me try to address a few of these items. I couldn't agree more with the comment made earlier about communication is the key. So let me go back a little bit to the original MOU that was signed by the previous sheriff that carried over into the current sheriff's tenure, okay? And I'll emphasize, no concern was ever brought to me at all. And so what we might look for, if that were a problem, is a regular meeting established so that any communication from your governing perspective is occurring. And I think very simply then, we could talk about an SRO was called into this situation, a group reviews it and say, is this appropriate or is this a problem? Is there potential for some concerns? Absolutely. This is without a doubt, it was described earlier, this is a relationship. We're dealing with kids, we're dealing with families, we're dealing with adults. There's a lot there. And so we're going to have constant communication. We're going to have to review situations. And my gut is we're going to learn over time and get better at it. But I'll emphasize, nothing was ever brought to me that was a concern. So I'm assuming the previous relationship was perfect. Now, we probably could all guess that's not true, but it takes an effort on everyone's part to share those concerns. And if they were so concerning, why weren't they brought to my attention? So those are the pieces I would add. I think there's, again, and I sense the will here that people want, that everybody wants to make this happen. I'm at the table no matter what. And I hear the concern that we have one party not at the table. That's a choice. I made a choice to be here today to support my kids. You made a choice to do this. Those are choices. We all live by choices. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dempsey. Any other comments?
Madam Chair, I would like to just go back to the original comment that I made, that I fully support what we're trying to do here, but I would ask that Commissioner Murillo, if you could amend your motion to bring the final draft to the board for a vote, I would be so appreciative. I would like to see it. I think there's things that need to be worked out. And this contract / MOU is definitely a representation of our values and beliefs here as a board. And I just want to make sure that it's represented in the final draft.
And Madam Chair and Commissioner, that motion does not have to come from the person that made the original motion. You can make a motion to amend hers that would require then final approval coming back to the board.
Thank you,
You're
Mr.
able
Gooden.
to make that motion if that is your desire.
I make the motion that we approve, I make the motion that the final approval of this MOU / contract comes before the board at a later date.
So basically, then you would be moving to amend the previous motion to include the requirement that it be brought back to the board for final approval.
I amend the motion that we bring back the final review of this document to the board Yes?
I believe we understand what's happening, so.
Cool. Okay.
That does need a second.
I'll
Do I
second
have a
them.
second?
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion by Vice Chair Shalder Hernandez to amend the motion to bring back the final draft before the commission when presented as a final draft. Did I have a date on that? Did I miss the date? I was trying to write and I wasn't.
No, ma'am, but it would probably have to be done before June 30th, I would imagine.
Can we get a date?
Well, we have to have, if that's the motion, we would have to have a final contract.
Exactly.
So that would
So let's
require.
just leave it without a
some-
date.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I have a motion by Vice Chair Shalder Hernandez, a second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any other discussion on this motion to amend? All right, may I have a roll call vote on the motion to amend?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaldo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes. So
Now,
we go back.
your original motion has now been amended now, so you still need a vote on the
Correct.
original motion as amended.
So that motion carries unanimously. Now we are voting on the original motion as amended. May I have a roll call vote?
Commissioner Murillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez,
Yes.
Vice Chair Shaldo Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chair Chaparro.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. And we will now move forward to correspondence, agenda item number 17. Amanda?
Sandra and Neil Brown versus Doñana County, and Donald Williams versus Doñana County.
Thank you. Commissioners, we are adjourned at 12:18 PM.